Morning, everyone. It is 9 o'clock. The reason that's important is I'm opening the Board of Works meeting, and no bids or quotes will be accepted after this time, unless you're sitting in the audience, not realizing you were supposed to turn it in. No bids or quotes. All right. With that said, Nancy, could you start the roll call, please?
Sure. And make sure your microphone is down because they're very sensitive and I don't want to not pick you up. Rose Rivera.
Present.
Mike Macklin.
Present.
Ronnie Davis.
Present.
Jamie Arce.
Present.
One member is absent this morning, Andy Jones, and we are a quorum. Thank you, Board.
You could have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Could I have a motion to amend the agenda to include excess agreement and a modification to the wage resolution.
So moved. Second.
Motion second to amend. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Will those go in engineering or under utility? New item?
Let's put them at the end of administration and engineering.
Okay.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All those in favor of the amended agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Open bids and quotes. We have bid number 25-12, purchase of a fire truck, Thuffin SVI Heavy Rescue.
Okay, I have proof of publication, published in the Elkhart Truth, March 28, 2025, and April 4th, 2025, for bid number 25-12, the purchase of fire truck Sutphen SVI Heavy Rescue.
We have one bid, apparently. Note for the record that Mr. Jones has joined us. The bid is Addison Fire Protection, District Number 1, DuPage County. It appears that their bid is $855,000, 855,000.00. I have a motion to assign these to staff to review and report back next meeting? This meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. This quote is for Frankenberger Lawn Care proposal. Okay. Attachment B says it's got a number next to each item or each parcel. Total is $2,790. Large item plus 200. Appears that their final bid is $2,990. A motion to assign these to staff? And award
Yes,
later
please.
in the meeting?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We
I
need to
got it.
modify to award.
Oh, do we need
Oh,
to
are we gonna-
move the agenda?
Are we doing the claims allowance docket?
No,
Is it? Okay.
Okay. New business award quote 2505.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Sorry.
perfect. All right. Mr. President, I move that we approve the claims and allowance docket in the amount of $4,648,824.21, consisting of 32 pages printed on April the 8th, 2025 at 9:39 a.m.
Motion and a second. Hi, Aaron, what's going on?
Good morning. Erin Coons, Deputy Controller. We have our April trash services to Board and Waste Away for $199,335.21. We have for premium concrete services for Cassopolis Street improvements, $481,480.50. And then our total American Rescue Plan claims this time is $2,307.72.
Questions for Aaron? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Thank you,
Aye.
Aaron. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of April 1st.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any changes? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those abstaining, aye. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we award bid number 25-05 for Fire Station 6, including alternates 3 and 4, to Gibson Lewis LLC, who submitted the lowest responsive bid with the contract price in the amount of $7,444,000 even.
Motion and a second. Jeffrey?
Jeff Schaefer, Assistant City Engineer. As you can see, we got 4 very competitive bids, and we are ready to award this project. This was funded by an appropriation that the council approved at their last meeting. I can answer any questions you have.
Questions for Jeff? Forward. And this, just because it's in my neighborhood, is out on Marina and
Ada Drive.
Ada. Okay, great. All right, all those in favor of this award signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we approve change order number 1 and final for bid number 24-02, the 2024 Street Department Resurfacing Curb Ramp Project, increasing the contract value by $825.95, resulting in a contract price of $417,878.45.
Motion and a second. Hey, Mark?
Morning, Mark Lucas, Public Works. Yeah, just a slight adjustment to the final quantities.
So did it take them this long to get the billing wrapped up? I mean,
No, it was a larger project than normal, so we carried it over to this year. It was planned that way because it was larger than anything we'd done before.
Okay, great. All those in favor of change order number 1, bringing the final contract price to $417,878.45 for contract 2402, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we approve change order number 1 for quote 24-18 Benham Avenue Path Solar Lighting, increasing the contract value by $2,485, resulting in a contract price of $97,385.
Motion and a second. Mark?
Yeah, just this needed a little more traffic control in order to keep the drilling rig off of the path to prevent damage to the pedestrian path and the newly established tree lawn.
Other questions for Mark? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving Change order number 1 for contract 2418, bringing the current contract total to $97,385, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the plans and specifications and grant permission to request quote number 25-09, the Hubbard Avenue sanitary sewer repair.
Motion and a second.
Again, Jeff Schaefer, Assistant City Engineer. Very briefly, this is a manhole at the intersection of Oakland and Hubbard, which is currently buried under the pavement. So we'll be excavating this manhole, and then our video of the sewer noted that there's a section east of the manhole that requires replacement.
Didn't we have an emergency out there recently in that area?
Yes, the emergency was at Oakland and at a nearby intersection. I forget the exact
Okay.
intersection.
It
but
wasn't
yes.
this one, though?
No, this is a planned fix. So we don't have an emergency.
All righty. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we accept and adopt the policy for ADA parking spaces in residential neighborhoods.
Motion and a second.
Board, over the years, we've had various different methodologies for dealing with requests from residents to have parking spaces marked in front of their home with an ADA sign or with blue paint. And in the past, we've actually kind of tied it to the resident. We've asked for placards or copies of license plates and to document that there was a mobility issue that required that. And actually, to Mr. Irwin's credit, after he attended the ADA conference last year, we came back and we really reevaluated why we do that and where we do it and how we do it. And so this policy is a little bit different, and we've already kind of slowly rolled it out as we've gotten some requests this year. We just want to formalize it. Basically, what this says is we're no longer going to tie a request for an ADA parking space to the resident. Because obviously there's a lot of issues there. Once the resident leaves, how do you know? You know, should Public Works be collecting leases? You know, should we be collecting deeds? It becomes a lot of hassle to follow up. And so what we're proposing for you today is simply if we get a request for an ADA parking space, we will just look at the block and put it at the proper location on the block. And it'll basically stay there in perpetuity. We'll probably evaluate them more regularly on more of a global basis, but not necessarily on whether that resident who has the ADA need is still in the particular home. And we just think it's an easier way to manage these ADA spaces. We also think it's a much better, it better follows the PROAG standards, the standards that we use for marking ADA spaces. We're going to do a really good job of evaluating where on the block that it belongs. These probably belong on the end of the block. That's where they belong best. That's where we have the ADA ramps. That might not necessarily place it in front of the resident's home. Maybe there might be a time that we put it next to the spot next to the alley if we can, but they're probably going to be on the end of the block. The couple requests that we've had so far that we've kind of soft rolled this out, we've gotten really good reception. I think the residents also really understand this, that no, this ADA spot is not tied to your home, but if you have a concern, we can place one on your block. Should we be able to find a spot that is compliant. So we're just asking for the board to adopt this policy formally so that we will continue to roll it out.
Question. I assume there's some flexibility, like I'm thinking of between Carlton and Hively on Francis Street. That's a long block. I think it was originally designed to be 3 blocks, but it's 1. So if I live at 2506, which is at the middle, and it's clear at the other end, how does that help someone who has mobility issues?
And again, yes, there's flexibility built into this.
Okay, good.
The way it reads is our preferences at the end of the block. If we're going to put it mid-block, it's incumbent on Public Works to make sure there's a compliant route that goes up to the sidewalk.
Okay.
So yes, there's definitely flexibility in this.
Good.
But I would say in our smaller blocks, and I'm thinking more on like on the northwest side of town, you're right, on the southeast side of the city, south central part of the city, we have some long blocks. It's going to be difficult. On the northwest side of the town, where we have pretty square, smaller blocks, this is very applicable.
Are you currently tracking where they are, and are you going to?
We will be tracking them, yes. That is part of the issue. Traffic was tracking them based on their sign inventory. And again, I'm not sure that's the best way to track ADA parking spaces. We're going to work with traffic to, even reevaluate some of those spots. Should they be moved to the end of the block, that sort of thing. So, but yes, our intent is to track them in GIS. That will definitely be part of this. As much to, if we're ever evaluated again by Federal Highway, to document that we're in compliance.
Jeff, for situations when we need to deviate from the end of the block where we're close to the already hopefully existing ADA access and we do a mid-block, will we then become responsible for any curb cuts or concrete or asphalt or whatever to go from through the right-of-way to the sidewalk?
That's always going to be a judgment call. We cannot mark the space if there's not a compliant path to the sidewalk. That's something that ProAg is very clear, and that's something that was reinforced at the last ADA conference. So then that becomes a bit of a judgment call for the staff and even potentially the board of, do we go ahead and place a curb ramp mid-block for this ADA spot? The answer is, if we're going to mark it and we feel there's a need, then yes, we would place the curb ramp. So yes, I think that's, but again, there's always going to be some nuance there, and we're going to do our best to evaluate it. If we do place one mid-block, my expectation is that Mr. Lucas, as the ADA coordinator, is going to document why it was placed where it was. That's what we found, is as long as we keep good documentation of our decisions, then we feel like we'll be in good standing with Federal Highway or DOJ should they ever want to come in and evaluate us.
Okay, and you had said good chance you would look at where an alley cut already is, as opposed to.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we can't always rely on the alleys because some of our alleys, especially the cross slopes of the alleys, can be a lot more than 2%. But we're always willing to evaluate that.
Other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of this policy signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we accept and execute the interlocal agreement for road construction and maintenance with Elkhart County for the resurfacing of County Road 6, subject to the approval on second and third reading of the funding ordinance by the City Council.
Second.
Motion and a second. Jeff?
So second and third reading goes to the City Council this coming Monday night, the 21st. Just as a bit of background, this segment of County Road 6 between Johnson and Oslo, as we would call it, or between County Road 9 and County Road 11, as the county would call it, the city limits, I believe, cross back and forth 2 or 3 times. So just a segment that's really difficult for either the city or the county to hit and only to pave up to city limits. The county approached us actually last year. We couldn't get it across the finish line because of a number of reasons of doing a joint project. They bid it. In fact, they have bid it. The bid for this segment ended up being $559, $318, and 80 cents. So it came in under what our expected cost was. So our appropriation will be sufficient. They are going to do the primary inspection. We will do the inspection on manholes that need to be adjusted, water castings, that sort of thing. It's actually been a very refreshing and nice process. Not that working with the county is not refreshing, but no, we've worked out really well, the 2 engineering departments together. So we're asking for you to approve this interlocal agreement, and then subject to the council funding, and then this project will start right after the council's approved the funding.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, based on the condition of approval added by the City of Elkhart Plan Commission and subject to the receipt of a waiver releasing the city from responsibility to repair the artificial turf Approve the installation and maintenance of artificial turf in the public right-of-way of Parkway Lane adjacent to Lot 14, Parkway at 17 DPUD Phase 4.
Motion and a second.
Apologize for the mouthful.
No worries.
First of all, let me state the waiver has been signed. We received it yesterday and provided Ms. Wilson a copy for the board's records. Very quickly, this is in a planned unit development, and so the site plan requires final site plan approval. The site plan that was presented to the Plan Commission included, rather than grass in the tree lawn, included artificial turf. And the developer would like to use that on the property rather than natural grass. We do have an ordinance that states if we go into the tree lawn and do work, the city's responsible for restoring that. So we're kind of dealing with two different issues here. First of all, the Plan Commission made it a condition of approval that the board accept the artificial turf in the tree lawn rather than natural grass. And also, as we reviewed this, we wanted to make sure the board had a waiver. So should we ever have to, say, repair the sewer, lateral, or that sort of thing, we will not be responsible for replacing the artificial turf. We will obviously restore the dirt, but we don't want to have to go to the expense of replacing the turf. The developer is here if you have any questions of them, but we think this is, we don't have any issues or concerns with the developer wanting to pursue this, and I believe they understand that if there's any damage to the turf, it's their responsibility to replace it.
Is this building already built?
No, it is not. In fact, has construction started yet? Construction has started, but no, they're still under construction.
Is this the one directly east of the assisted living facility? Yes, aren't you?
Mike's been touring the assisted living. Is
That's
that
it.
is what you're saying?
Trying to find my way around town. Oh, that one. Good idea. No yard work.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm okay with this if everybody else is okay with it. Are they going to clean it?
I believe so. I mean, obviously, it's going to be their place of business, so I feel, yeah.
Okay. You need to identify yourself.
Brad Martin, the owner of the property. Yeah, so what they do is they come out twice a year, spring and fall, and they do like what they call like a sweep.
Okay.
That brings up all the fibers, cleans everything up and everything else as far as that. So, yeah, so like I said, we're going to make it look really good out there.
All right. Speaking of yard work, there it is. Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yep.
Other questions for Jeff or Brad?
Just, so the advantage, Brad, is just you don't have to mow it.
No, ecological too. I mean, you know what I'm saying? For instance, we're throwing all these chemicals in the grass, no fertilizer has to be done, you know what I'm saying? And there's wildlife all the way out there. Second of all, there's so much rust in the water out there. If you look at Pam Cheney's building, there's so much rust. So then I
Yeah.
got to put a rust inhibitor through the sprinkling system, spray that all over the grass, and whatever animals or whatever have to come and eat that or do whatever, it's just going to damage that.
So you've figured out over time you're
It's
going
going to cost me more money.
Oh, it is?
The grass itself is $185,000.
Yeah.
I won't recoup that by the time I'm retired. But it'll look good, it'll save the environment and everything else.
Yeah, I'd like about 800 acres at the airport.
All right. Other questions? Thank you very much.
Yep.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we approve amendment number 1 to the professional services agreement with DLZ Indiana for Fire Station number 6, increasing the fees by $464,000, resulting in total fees not to exceed $984,000.
Motion and a second. Construction side of it?
Yeah, Jeff Schaefer, Assistant Engineer, and that's correct. Basically, the services during construction, providing quality assurance and assuring that we're getting the product we need. This is not obviously inspection. The inspections are still done by the city building department.
Okay, other questions for Jeff? Seeing none, all those in favor of amendment number 1 with DLZ for Fire Station number 6 signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the installation and maintenance of the private sanitary sewer low-pressure force main in the public right-of-way of Country Club Lane, Garden Street, and Woodlawn Avenue, subject to receipt of a statement by the developer, as approved by the City Legal Department, declaring the party responsible to maintain the force main and releasing the city from any responsibility to maintain or repair the force main.
Motion and a second.
Board, this is a kind of an interesting situation. So I'm going to use the term Jet Technologies. Todd Sullivan is the owner of Jet Technologies. He owns the property under a couple different LLCs. Jet Technologies was annexed into the city recently and has worked with Mr. Huber on a number of different matters. But the biggest reason they were brought in was to connect them to the city's wastewater collection system. Unfortunately, North Park Drive is kind of in a weird island. There is no sanitary sewer in that section of Johnson Street. The nearest is actually at Perina or Sunset, both of which are about a quarter to half mile away. The sanitary sewer in Cassopolis Street, unfortunately, you have to cross at least 2, if not 3 properties to get to, plus get into the state highway. And it's also actually not that close. So Jet Technologies approached us, and to their credit, they've been very patient as we have worked through a lot of different permutations of what to do. It's never our preference to run a private force main in the public right-of-way. That can lead to issues in the future of who owns, maintains what, how is it marked by 311, that sort of thing. So we always try and look for other alternatives. The alternative here was to take it through the Parks property, through Woodlawn Nature Center. And for a variety of reasons, that didn't work out. There were just some hurdles there. And so that didn't work out, so we came back to running it in the right-of-way. We have received the plans. The plans are sufficient. We've received the IDEM permit application. That was signed by Ms. Colo yesterday, and I actually gave it back to the applicant this morning. So this is ready to go through final permits. We don't believe that this is necessarily the best solution, but it's the best solution we have available to us. And so that's why we're recommending approval. As is stated in the motion, our intent is to make sure we have an agreement signed by the developer stating that it is their responsibility to own, maintain, and not the city's responsibility as well. And we'll be working with Ms. Marnoga to put that agreement together along with the developer. So we're asking you to consider this request. The developer is here today if you'd like to hear from him or his engineer. But that's the request before you right now.
Jeff, I note a number of buildings along the way. Is there going to be an accommodation for if they decide they want to hook on to this?
So this will be, Mr. Sullivan owns either 2 of the 3. He owns all the buildings on North Park Drive, I believe, but the last one at the cul-de-sac on the west side, north and west sides of North Park Drive. And this will actually be run in an easement. We haven't discussed accommodations for the last building there. These are all on public water. So I would think, if that if that owner talked to us and we would have to discuss that, with the utility to determine what the best approach is. We do have some other situations where we have shared laterals, and the fact that they all are water customers, there's some options there, but we would have to discuss through that option if that other building wanted to connect.
So is this anticipated multiple buildings connecting to this?
There will be at least 3 buildings that connect to this as a low-pressure system. Yep.
Thank you. Other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we authorize the board president to execute the professional services agreement with JQOL Incorporated for Oslo Road and Hinkey Street intersection improvements with fees not to exceed $15,000 even.
Motion and a second.
As you know, the mayor holds an event called Let's Talk Tuesday in the various districts. At the 3rd District event last year, there were some residents who raised concerns about the intersection at Oslo Road with Henke Street and with Woodland Estates Drive and with the entrance to Park Place. And there's just a lot of moving parts and pieces there. And so what we'd like to do is ask JQLL to take a look at that. And the intent is to do a first phase project yet this year with some striping and some signage, and then look at there's some long-term more intensive construction that's needed to make that intersection or that group of intersections work safer and more efficiently. JQLL is more than qualified to do this work. While they're new to the city as a firm, a lot of the staff members have been other people the city have worked with in the past at different firms. Plus, they're run by a Purdue grad.
Oh, all in favor? Okay, so I was in the wrong place. This is up Hickey
you.
Drive. I was thinking of Miller Street, I think. Are we envisioning a signal there? Is that the problem?
No,
Or is
I
it
don't
just-
think we're envisioning a signal there.
Surely a roundabout would work well.
A roundabout would work great. Maybe we could look at a lot of different options. I do not believe we'll end up with a signal. I think we can deal with this without going to that route. Even with the signal, we're trying to deal with two different intersections at once. Really, 3 intersections. Park Place has 2 intersections. I think it's a matter of trying to consolidate.
Great. Other questions for Jeff? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the bid documents and grant permission to advertise bid number 2514, Stevens Avenue, Francis Avenue, and 2nd Street reconstruction.
Motion and a second.
So this project is a bit of a conglomeration. This is funded by a CCMG grant, partially funded by a CCMG grant. And under INDOT's process, for better or worse, we have to cobble together 3 projects at 2 very different locations under one contract. This will be replacing the concrete in both Stevens and Francis with asphalt pavement. We do intend to leave the curbs in place, but replace the concrete pavement. This is what we call the old granite concrete. This stuff is
Hard as Superman's elbow.
correct. So it's a nice contractor project, so we don't kill our concrete saws trying to replace it. With this as well, we're going to do some reconstruction on 2nd Street. We'll remove the concrete section of 2nd Street. The other thing we want to do, which is between Jackson and Jefferson, that last concrete section, similarly, we'll leave the curbs in place and replace the concrete with asphalt. The other thing we want to do on 2nd Street is try and lower the remainder portion from Tyler to Jackson. What we believe is out there is about 4 inches of asphalt overlaid over parts asphalt and parts concrete. And because, as you know, for many years, the overlays were done without milling first. And that's why, as you know, as you walk down 2nd Street, we have curbs that have about this much reveal. Our goal is to try and get a lot more reveal on that curb, basically, so you have more curb there. This will require us lowering the driveway approaches. It will require us working on the curb ramps again, but it's just lowering 2nd Street a couple inches. So that's the second part of this project.
And how does CCMG work? Does the city put up 20%, 50%?
It's a 50-50.
50.
So our award was for $1.4 million, and we estimated this project right at $2.8 million.
And then, has that already been funded, or are we going to go?
That
get
has
it?
not.
Okay.
That is not. We will take this through the funding process after we have the bids.
Question, Jeff, what on Francis, for example, which blocks are going to be milled?
I'm sorry, this is between Lusher and Indiana. I apologize. Yep.
Oh,
So it's the whole stretch between Lusher and Indiana.
I live on the south side of Lusher, so this is the north portion where it's super crappy. Pays a rating of -1.
But hard.
It's hard.
Hard concrete
right.
is cracked. All righty, other questions? Great that we get half paid for.
Yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
All right, Mr. President, I move that we approve the access and indemnity agreement between the city and the county. Is that what it is?
Yes,
Between Elkhart County and Elkhart City.
yes. That was a motion
Second.
and a second. Pretty standard language to get access to a building. Let's just move ahead with the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then.
The wage resolution, I don't have a copy of that.
I don't. All I have is the memo.
Yeah, I don't.
Here it is, this.
They're here. Sorry. Sorry.
All right. Mr. President, I move that we adopt Resolution 25-R-07, a resolution of the Board of Public Works of the City of Elkhart, Indiana, to establish certain positions for the calendar year 2025.
In a second. What do we got, Tori?
Morning, Board. So I am not sure all of you are aware, but Laura Colo has announced her retirement, which will be happening mid-year this year. And as part of that process, we have been working with the mayor, chief of staff, and the HR department on charting a path forward without Laura's 32 years of experience. And so as part of that, we've decided that Laura's position will more or less be broken up into 4 different positions. 2 of them will be new. We are creating a compliance director and then a plant manager as well. Those will be new positions that we will seek to fill. We'll also be splitting off, reorganizing the engineering department a little bit and reestablishing the city engineer position, and then increasing the number of project managers we have as a result, because the labor market for engineers is impossible to find engineers. So we have.
Shouldn't have run me off.
Shouldn't have retired. We have a couple assistant city engineering roles that we have no hopes or on the horizon of ever filling. So we're rearranging and creating more project manager roles to take on that workload and assist the city engineer with those duties. This has been reviewed by legal and HR and the administration. The pay grades for the newly created positions are more or less placeholders as those positions are evaluated by WIS. Those may change. If they change, we'll bring an amendment later this year, or it'll be just part of next year's wage resolution.
So you're keeping the assistant city engineer in case the market changes?
Yeah, if we lose project managers or if the market changes, we'll seek to possibly fill that role someday, maybe in future years.
And how many project managers do you have now?
We currently have 2. We never filled the old utility assistant city engineer role, so our 2 project managers are Jason Simnick and Mark Lucas.
Oh, okay. Great. Good adapting. Laura, gonna miss you. Thanks for all the years of work and nights. All righty, other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving resolution number 25-R-07 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we ratify partial payment request for SRF number 55 from SRF Loan WW221-62005 in the amount of $41,900 to American Structure Point from the allocated SRF loan for professional services on the Oakland Avenue Project C, Harrison Street design.
Motion and a second. He's not here today. This is just a design, I believe, design fees as they move forward with one of the biggest CSO long-term control plan projects. Having said that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we ratify partial payment request number 56 from the SRF loan WW221-62005 in the amount of $86,420 even to DLZ from the allocated SRF loan for professional services on the Oakland Avenue Project D, CSO 6 and 7 connection design.
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we accept and place on file the wastewater utility monthly report of operations for the month of February 2025.
Motion and a second. Sorry, Laura. You've had a bunch of rain. How's your new system working?
It's working fine. We're working to slowly increase the flows coming to the plant by ramping up pumps at the outlying lift stations and also coordinate. We just started yesterday, which will be a regular, maybe every month, sit down with maintenance and operations and members of the engineering team to evaluate improvements we want to make or short-term tweaks as we try to balance utilizing the tanks out in the system that we've been building for the last 15 years or whatever, and maximizing flow at the plant. So that's going to be a long process to find that sweet spot.
But the circular cloth round filter media, what do you call that?
We call it CMDF.
The CMDF is working.
The filters, yes.
Filters. It's working
Yeah.
like you'd hope they would?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
very good.
we've got a couple bugs to work out and some hindsight 2020 kind of things to work through, but nothing major.
Great, great. And thanks again for all your service. All those in favor of accepting, placing on file this report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we accept and place on file the water utility monthly report of operations for the month of March 2025.
In a second, any problems?
Nope.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr.
A
President,
reminder, if I may, that Flushing starts April 28th. So visit the website for Flushing near you.
thank you, Laura. Mr. President, I move that we accept and place on file the 2024 Aquatic Community Monitoring Report.
Motion in a second. Hello, Dara.
Hey, good morning, Board. So Dara Deegan, Water Quality Manager, Public Works. This is our 2024 report, obviously, that we're asking the Board to accept. 2024 marks 27 years that this program's been operating. Started back in 1998 with our stormwater manager, Joe Foy. He was the aquatic biologist at the time. Since that time, we've collected close to 750,000 fish. We've done thousands of fish community surveys, hundreds of macroinvertebrate community surveys, lots of other sampling related to fish and different things related to water quality, and reached tens of thousands of residents about the health of the St. Joe and how important it is as a resource. Just in our annual report that we're asking the Board to accept this year, a couple of notes. One is, it's kind of almost the same as the reports I've submitted the last few years. The river's doing good. It has been doing good for a while. We're seeing like incremental improvements that we perceive related to more species being found in surveys, or less tolerant fish, and tolerant fish are those that are can handle high levels of pollution and that kind of thing. We're seeing less. So things are getting better. One of the other things that we highlight in this report is that we've started to do freshwater mussel sampling. Freshwater mussels are an underappreciated group of imperiled, endangered organisms in this country, and they're really sensitive indicators of water quality. So they may be able to tell us going forward, if we start sampling for them, a little bit more about improvements over time, if that makes sense. Oh, one other little note that I'd like to make is we're working with our GIS team right now, and actually as of today, we're publishing a aquatic biology story map that will be accessible to the public. We'll have all of our data on there. It's going to be a pretty nice tool for us from an outreach perspective. You'll be able to get our reports. So this report that's accepted today will be put on there. And then people like students and people working or interested in our data can go on that story map and download our data. Pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it.
That'll be on the city's website then?
It's going to be separate. You'd have to talk to Matt Heineman about the specifics, but it's on our GIS servers from what I understand, maybe in the cloud.
Accessible from the city website in some
It will
capacity.
be. It'll be linked
That's
to
what I meant.
link to the city
Accessible.
link to the city website. Yep.
Go ahead.
If you don't have any questions, I'd like to introduce a couple of my colleagues.
I was
if I
just
could.
going to ask for that.
Yeah. So as you know, in the last couple of years, I've transitioned out of the aquatic biologist role. And to keep this program going, I have a group of helpers that work with me. So you probably heard us talk about the lab at Public Works. And we've got Jordan and Hannah here. So Jordan Ware and Hannah Simnick. And they do a lot of stuff related to water quality sampling in the lab, so testing wastewater samples and drinking water samples. But they also chip in, and among the group of us, we're able to kind of keep this aquatic biology program going. So.
And you have both been with Public Works for multiple years, as I recall.
Great. Well, welcome. Congratulations.
Thanks for your hard work and your dinner the other day. All righty, all those in favor of, any other questions for Dara? Sorry.
Nope.
Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting, placing on file this report signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Board.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Dara.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I move that we remove request to bid 25-13 bulk chemicals for wastewater and water treatment from the table.
Motion is second to remove this item from the table. All those in favor of removal signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Did we table with the motion? Or should we start with another motion?
Yeah, Mr. President, I would move that we grant permission to bid number 25-13, the bulk chemicals for water and wastewater treatment.
Motion is second. Hi, Matt. What are we doing?
Good morning. I was requesting permission to advertise for bid solicitation for our wastewater treatment chemicals, as well as the chemicals treating at our well fields.
Questions? Straightforward, same as every other year?
Yes, sir.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, for purposes of discussion, I move that we find Voyant Beauty West, permit number 98-01, in violation of their industrial wastewater discharge permit for failure to submit self-monitoring reports by the deadline and assign a penalty of $3,500.
Motion and a second. Hello, Stephen.
Good morning, Board. Steve Brown, Public Works. Today we're presenting Voyant Beauty West, which has failed to submit their required monthly self-monitoring reports for 2024 and for the year of 2024 and January 2025. Each one of those reports have a monthly deadline, and they failed to submit those reports. The recommended penalty is $3,500.
So
Go ahead.
I'm going to ask, this looks like it is 13 reports that haven't been filed?
That's correct, yep.
Have you been in communication with them yet?
Yes, there was a change of point of contact, and some things got misunderstood. So they actually, they did do the monitoring, they just failed to submit the reports by the deadline.
Other questions? Is anybody from the company here and wish to speak? All right, all those in favor of finding Voyant Beauty West in violation and assess a penalty of $3,500 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we ratify one water assessment, one driveway permit, and one release of bond.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move.
Oh.
Yep.
We're on to new business. Staff, if you're done, engineering staff, if you're done, wastewater staff, if you're done with us, good time to sneak out quietly. It's hard for Mark to do, but.
All right, Mr. President, I move that we approve the request to purchase a utility compactor through Sourcewell in the amount of $52,400.
Second.
Motion and a second. Josh, what is a utility compactor?
It's just a small little mini pavement roller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just pretty small.
Oh, Mr. President, I'd like to amend my motion to include allowing the trade-in of Unit 346, the 2001 BOMAG utility roller, and Unit 348, the 1998 Bros broom.
Second.
Okay, that was a amendment with the second. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We do have an amended motion. Any questions for Josh on this? Standard, they've had one for a long time, I think. Utilities have one too, I believe, don't they?
Yes.
Or is this for the utilities?
So this one's for street department. There's another amendment on here.
We'll be
that
getting a
we won't-
hand-me-down,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
All righty, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the transfer of asset number 343 to the Public Works and Utility Department from the Street Department.
Motion and a second. Is this that?
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we approve and authorize or grant permission to quote 25-07 for a new Ford Transit cargo van for the Buildings and Grounds Department.
Motion and a second. And this is in the budget?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we approve and authorize the quotes on the specifications for quote number 25-08 and allow for the solicitation of quotes for a new Ford Transit passenger van.
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the letter of engagement for consulting services between the City of Elkhart and Wagner Irwin Scheel and Associates Incorporated.
Second.
Motion, and this is for HR? Yeah. Okay. And I didn't look at it. It's part of their budget, I assume? Yes. Oh.
Morning, Wayne Belak, Director of Human Resources. We're asking the board to approve a letter of engagement with Wagner Irwin Scheel WIS to conduct a salary analysis and review job classifications and compensation for certain non-union positions that have been either created or modified since their last study back in 2020. And the money is coming from the HR budget as well as, I believe, controller can speak to any other sources.
It's funded.
I'm sorry?
No, I was just confirming that it's funded.
Oh, it's funded. Okay. All righty. I've worked with these people.
Right. I saw that. All right. Thanks.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we grant permission to quote contract number 25-10 for the Forestry Department for contract tree removal.
Second.
Second. Hey, Chip, how you doing today?
Morning, Board. Chip Tallman, City Forester.
You guys have been busy, haven't you?
Well, it's a good idea to contract some of this out.
Is this the same as we did last year, basically?
Basically, yes, just in a different area. It's a more defined area as opposed to the entire city.
Okay. And this was in your budget, I assume? Funding
Yes,
project?
under, it'll be paid through contract services.
It's a continuation
Same as
of
last year.
a program we began last year, correct?
Correct.
All righty. Other questions?
Just a quick question.
No, Andy, they won't do the one in your neighborhood.
Yeah, I have no trees. Looks like some of these could have been from storm damage. Morton, wasn't that area hit kind of by the tornado?
Yeah, it was. This last storm was citywide.
Okay.
But this area has been on my radar for some time. It is an area that we'll be planting a lot of trees from the forestry grant. And I have it on good authority that the street department's going to replace quite a bit of sidewalk in that area next year. So it's going to be important to get some of those trees down so that we don't damage
That grant, that's still active? I thought I saw where there was another grant that was on
It's
hold.
still up in the air, but
Okay.
we're proceeding forward cautiously.
Gotcha.
And if it falls through, we'll plant it ourselves.
Are these all damaged trees, basically? They're all street trees?
Yeah,
so
they're structurally deficient, they're in a state of decline. I have pictures if you would like.
I trust you. Just going through the motions here.
Some of them, it's not real evident, but if you look at the root system, where the roots go in the ground, you can see rot. This last storm showed that a lot of the trees we lost were root tipped, meaning the tree was structurally sound and it just fell over because of the saturation, the ground saturation. So it tells me that I'm onto something, that the trees I'm leaving behind are strong They just can't walk on water. A lot of these trees, most of these trees, all these trees are at risk of failing partially. And there's a lot of homes that are threatened by them.
Every time we drive down a different street, it seems like there's either is or has been a tree on a car or a house. So good work, Chip.
Yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the uniform conflict of interest disclosure from Jason Culp.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Next is the property maintenance.
When I fill it in, yeah. Good morning.
Morning.
Adam Fan, Assistant Director of Redevelopment. I request that we approve the proposal from Frankenberger Lawn Care Service for the property maintenance contract for RFQ 2505.
They come in similar to last year, Adam, or was there a price bump?
Jacob's been managing this, so I'm not really sure where it was last year, but I think it was pretty close.
Okay. Same number of parcels, or did our parcel count go down?
It kind of wavers a
Varies,
little bit,
yeah.
once we sell some things, then we've been receiving some parcels from the county here recently.
And there's capacity within the existing contract to allow for any new parcels that we would be taking on.
Yes, there
Okay.
is.
All right.
What's that amount again, or do you have the amount?
It was
It was 29 or 2,990. Yeah, 2,990, and that's per mow. So that comes out to about 30. What did I write down? $39,000 for 14 mows, which is 7 months of service.
But we want the motion to be per mow, right, in case we include additional properties, right? Or have
Yep.
additional mows in the season. Yeah.
Or less.
Yeah. So I would move that we award quote number 25-05 to Frankenberger in the amount of
29,990.
$2,980 $90 per mow, as they were the
Second motion.
lowest responsive quoter.
And a second. All those in favor of awarding to Frankenberger for $2,990 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the following use and event permits. Elkhart's Night Out, August 5th. Southside Parade, August 16th. Leroy Robinson on the Green, August 16th. Color for Kids Family Run and Walk, May 31st. Recovery in the Park, June 24th. Peace Officers Memorial Service, May the 9th. Corpus Christi Procession, June 22nd. Cinco de Mayo, May the 3rd. Jazz Festival, June 19, 20, 21, and 22. Flags from the Heart, May 24th, 25th, and 26th. The Memorial Day Parade, May 26th. Art Walk, June 25th, July 30th, August 27th, and September 24th. Rhapsody Arts and Musical Festival, June 13th and 14th. Independence Day celebration on July the 4th. Kids Free Fishing Clinic, June the 7th. Heartland Automotive Customer Appreciation, May the 10th. Summer Chill Concert Series for June the 19th, July 18th, August 15th, and September 19th, and the Reyes Gender Reveal on May the 17th.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Public participation.
Public participation. None?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
In a second, we're adjourned.